I'm Anurag. I did my MPA from Harvard from 2016 to 2018, and currently I'm an assistant professor at the HKUST Guangzhou. I think the process is pretty much the same. At least for HKS, you have several essays. So I applied for the MPA. We needed, I think, a master's degree and 3 years of work experience. I think that's particular to the MPA, and the MPP does not require that. The essays are pretty standard, ask what you can do, and like why would you like to join HKS? The typical motivation letters that you apply to different schools, but it's more targeted towards public administration, public policy, what you would like to do for society. So those are the essays, and then the general things, test scores like GRE or GMAT, and your transcripts, your letters of recommendation. So it's pretty standard. I think so. I remember like when I was writing it, it happened quite quick. Back then, I remember I was also thinking of applying to business schools or applying to like other different schools, and particularly for HKS, it was it was easy for me, at least, because if you are really passionate about something, I think it's much easier to write that one. The SOP first asks you about what do you want to do for the world or for your country or for your community, right? Ask what you can do. And it's really like trying to understand, are you a leader? Are you is there some vision that you have in a particular thing that really interests you, right? So it's a big essay. It really asks you to think a lot, and you got to be very clear about what is it that I would like to do after graduating. And then, all the other essays flow into asking how would you spend your time? What would you like to do? How would you contribute to your community and your classmates? I think like if you are really clear about your vision, and then the other things really flow well. No, the essays are the SOP. So they do a nice thing. I think unlike general engineering college SOPs, your statement of purpose is like these 5 essays. So they're basically asking very specific questions so that you can align your SOP to those questions. It's not something quite vague off the topic. Yes, and then also tie in your experiences, what you've learned, what you bring to the table, what you would like to learn, because all of us are going to graduate school or went to graduate school because there were some things lacking, right? Like we wanted to learn something, but they come from our experiences. So it's more about explaining what you've experienced, what you'd like to do, and then like what you will gain from the school. I would at least consider it like to be a pretty average CV back then, at least. I think the only thing I would maybe stood out was I wanted to go into, public service, do public policy. So I had a lot of volunteer experience, and I had actually like pivoted from engineering to public policy. So I think you must try to show, like you should have done things that you're trying to go and do there. So, so be, so yeah, like there's nothing like you need to inflate on your CV. Just show what you have. But the question is, how do you connect the different dots and convince the reader that this is why I should be in this school, or this is why I want to study this. I think like one thing I can just say generally to students is like it's not a need, it's a want. Like you're going to the school because you want to grow and you want to excel at something, and there are certain things perhaps which you want to learn from there. So your CV will not have those things, but you've done some things to get there. It's a 2-year degree. Yeah. So there are, I think, different programs. So like the MPP and MPA are 2-year degrees, and there's an executive program which you do after 8 years, at least 8 years of experience. So that's a 1-year degree. And back then it was about $80,000 all inclusive. So tuition, insurance, accommodation, food, everything included. So that makes it 160,000 for 2 years. Nowadays, I believe it's small. So I would put the full thing around at 180, 200, I assume. You can, as an Indian, you can like reduce some cost by living in some dorms or reducing on accommodation. Tuition and insurance are fixed. But overall, I would still say, based on your lifestyle, 60 or 180 these days. I don't know, but around that ballpark range. Well, the tuition will be the most, right? Like that's the most expensive part, unless you have scholarships or something covering it up. I think living over there, I would say I spent 60% on tuition, 40% on everything else. So tuition plus insurance. So you can think of it because the school also helps you get insurance. So yeah, so that would be the split. So there are few funding opportunities. So one will be by the school. So they have their endowments or they have their like dedicated scholarships. So some of them you get automatically considered for, some you apply for separately along with your application. So there are like different essay requirements for that. And they're targeted towards a particular cause at times. So you may or you may not qualify. So you have to judge that. And within India, there are a lot of grants by Tata or sorry, I'm forgetting like now. It's been so long since I applied for these. Even the Mahindras have, and then there is Aga Khan and many other scholarships. So I may not be up to date on all of these at the moment. And how I did it was I took a loan. So I would say 60-70% of my cost was all loan. And then like my parents gave me some, and then I earned a lot over there. So when you work during the summer, and then I was a research assistant, a teaching assistant for many courses and many projects. So I always was working for the 2 years. I would say like 1.5 years, like one semester will just go into finding out these things. So, but there are ways like you can figure, and then there are loans that you can access. I think a lot of doors opened for me, and I think with age you actually start realizing more benefits. Certainly, so like I remember, I I got to work with like my job out after HK. So I was very clear that I wanted to get into infrastructure policy. So I got a job with a consultancy, which was look based in Canada, but were happy to hire me in India. So I wanted to be in India. So that remote uh, arrangement worked out really well. I think I wouldn't have gotten the offer if it wasn't for my degree. And the thing is, like, you mostly get offers because you know someone, like because you connect with someone through the network. I think that's how I got my first one. And then even when I like applied for the PhD, I think just having gone to Harvard helped. But more than that, like the research assistantships that I did, I think I met like some spectacular professors, even during my teaching assistant experience, who I formed relationships with. I think even when I was applying to the PhD, they were one of the reasons, like the person I worked with and did research with, he was one of the reasons I even thought of a PhD, and now I'm here as an assistant professor. So I think it opened up a lot of avenues. It's very difficult to put a value on them. I think I've been fortunate to travel to many countries. Now, if I start piecing them together, oh, I went for very different reasons, but I think the opportunity in general came about because I pursued this MPA degree. I did a lot of courses. So I think like there was this desire in me to study a lot. And I think because of that, I'm here. But typical day to day was a lot of courses. A lot of time goes into courses. So like each course takes away at least 10 hours a week from your schedule. So if you're doing like 4 courses or 5 courses, that's 40-50 hours gone. I was also working on the side, so that's another like 10-15 hours a week gone. And then like I would meet friends, we would all have a lot of parties as well, so I would go attend those. I would, again, dinners, lunches with friends, sometimes like, yeah, sure, walking and eating when it's too busy, but like generally, um, a lot of things happening, some speakers visiting, so you want to go and hear them out. Some event is happening, some expert is coming, you're doing some team discussion or team project, or you are also like working on some research on the side. So there's a bunch of things and you have to manage your time. And I remember like I used to sleep a lot less back then, just because there were so many things to do and really things that I loved. So I was just trying to maximize that. And yeah, and then like sometimes like you just hang out, right? Like in the first year I lived with two of my classmates. In the second year I decided to take a dorm, so I made like a ton of new friends from different schools. So even hanging out with those and getting to know them from different countries. So there's no typical day. I would say it's just busy. It's just busy with the things you like to do. What I've heard is it's grown a lot since I was there. Back then, like we were about 30 or 40 people at HKS. And then I think the business school had a much larger community. The education school had also a large community. But now I've heard that HKS is like over 100 Indian students at least. And then otherwise, like the best thing is, you are put into cohorts, you really meet them a lot. So one thing they used to do is have free brunch for us every Friday. So that was a chance for all our class to come together because people are taking different courses and you may not see them necessarily every day. So it was a chance for us to come together and get to know each other. So that was really nice. There are people from all over the world, like I think 50 or 80 countries, something like that. So the community is very tight. There's so many things that you do, so many, and the best thing is people are really driven to do what they want to do, right? So you'll meet like-minded people even if you do not share the same interest, professional interest, because your drive is the same. So you'll inspire each other. If you have the drive and you have the passion, then apply for it. There is, I don't know, like, write a good essay, like do the application well. Um, yeah, like there's no particular advice. Like, so if you are driven and if you would like to go there, please apply and see where the process goes. Until you apply, you don't know if you'll get in or not.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, no worries. Pleasure to be here.